Hello everyone, with the summer a distant memory and the autumn rains long overdue, it's time to take another look at Steam to see if November brings any hope, or if we should start fattening up the household pets in anticipation of a long winter famine. Welcome to the Steam Rundown for November 2018. The first and second are a complete non-event, unless of course the idea of catering to every whim of a bunch of suspected nonces and rapists appeals to you. If that does appeal to you, Football Manager 2019 releases on the 2nd. The same abysmal trend continues on to the 5th. There is one god-awful looking game releasing on the 5th called Backyard Brawl, and when I looked at the screenshots it did pose the question, who the fuck brings an AR-15 to a Backyard Brawl? Then I realised, the winner. The remainder of the 5th and 6th are about as interesting as a back-to-back Twitch stream of Bus Simulator followed by Metro Simulator. If you're a fan of those classic 90s point-and-click adventures, then you're in for a treat on the 7th, with the release of Leisure Suit Larry Wet Dreams Don't Dry. The 8th and 9th continue to be uneventful with the exception of the release of a game on the 9th, which appears to be a lawsuit in waiting. The game is called Unknown Survival Player Battleground. I haven't seen anything that blatant since the release of the iPhone 3 in Beijing. The 11th and 12th may be a good time to complete your transition as there's bugger all else going on Steam. On the 13th, Sweden's second favourite dev after Heatblur, Paradox, releases an expansion for Crusader Kings. Also on the 13th, everyone's favourite murderous savant returns in Hitman 2. The 14th and 15th do nothing to buck the trend, but for those of you who have VR there may be something interesting in the form of Apollo 11 HD. If you're jealous of all the console peasants getting Red Dead Redemption, you can get Red Dead Hentai Horse on the 19th. With all your equine penis questions answered, the next release of note appears to be Darksiders 3 on the 27th. November ends with about as much joy as a cholera epidemic, and all our hopes and dreams for 2018 pinned to December. Now it's time to take a look at what passes for highlights of the November releases. The first highlight tickles those 90s 16-bit point-and-click nostalgia berries. You take on the title role of a guy whose only quest is to get his hole. Back in the day I was a big fan of the genre, but I can't shake the feeling this is going to be more miss than hit. The next game is one I'm really looking forward to and is slated for release in the second half of 2018, although we all know that release times are scheduled by the same people who make fucking horoscopes. The game is called Beholder 2, where you take on the role of an official working for a totalitarian state. It's a game of choices where what's good for your career is generally bad for the health of everybody else, and vice versa. Although I can't shake the feeling that my first playthrough is going to make Kim Jong-un look like the Dalai Lama. Our next highlight is a character who needs no introduction. He has the silhouette of an erect circumcised penis and coincidentally all the personality of a used condom. I hope this is a return to form for the series and not just another phoned in stealth kill game. Hopefully there's a lot more room for player creativity. Although I always laughed in the earlier games how after a hit nobody ever stopped that frowning trans nurse who appeared to be undergoing chemotherapy. The final highlight releasing on the 27th is Darksiders 3. I'm always filled with the impression that this game is the ginger stepchild of God of War. The game I've been playing in the background is Final Fight from the Capcom beat-em-up collection. I got this during a low point feeling nostalgic for some hardcore arcade action. However, playing through this game and seeing some of the blatant fuckery it pulls, I've realised what this game is all about. You can be doing really well and suddenly the game will just turn around and bitch slap you like Chris Brown. You see, this game wasn't designed for kids. It was designed to make fathers fear for their prospects of ever getting laid again. Hear me out. In nearly every tourist trap in the British Isles, there was an arcade prominently featuring this game. Naive fathers trying to buy some private time would give their kids a handful of 10p pieces, not realising within 5 minutes the little bastards would be back yowling for more money. The incessant yowling would remind the mum of the importance of family planning and scupper the dad's chances of getting any domestic poontang for the next month. Savvy dads handed their kids a crisp £20 note with the instructions don't come back for an hour and say fucking nothing to your mother.